Alright everyone, here I am with my, my 300ZX, and it was kind of starting to misfire the other day, or so I think. It was just kind of like losing power, and then it would like come right back, so I was kind of like, you know, what the devil's going on? So as I started messing with it, I don't have any pictures or anything of what it looked like before, but the wires that were going into the coil packs on these two front ones had they had been cut before, and the guy just kind of taped them back together, or someone did. I don't really know who, but let's just say it didn't really work really well. When I pulled the tape off, I kid you not, they were like barely being held together. I just kind of like pulled the wires right apart. So I don't know if that's the issue, but it was almost like there was a weak connection or something like that. So all I'm going to do is solder them together. It's not going to hurt anything. Hopefully it'll help it out. I mean, I still need to do a little tune-up on this car, but I feel like this was definitely an issue. Because like I said, it's like it would lose power, and then the power would, you know, come right back. It would do really good fifth gear pulls, and all of a sudden it's like you would put it to the floor and the car would go absolutely nowhere. And you could hear a difference too. And it was because if you came back to the exhaust, it's like you could hear it making an odd sound from this side, and all of a sudden it would like switch to this side and this side. And I ended up pulling the coil packs off of the front, and it was actually really weird because the car didn't really run that bad, even with two misfires. It was barely noticeable when it was just idling, but it's when you gave it some gas, that's when it was kind of like, okay, something's wrong. Exactly how it felt going down the road. So it's kind of an educated guess, but I think this is it, and hopefully after soldering it together and really making a good connection, it should work pretty good after that, so I hope. But let's get started and see where it goes. Alright, so I got one side connected. It's not super pretty, it's not perfect, but it's a much better, stronger connection than it was before. So like I said, hopefully it works. We'll see. It looks pretty good. I mean, it's not bad. I'll probably get some black tape to cover it up, because I mean, that's pretty obvious right there. The way that I had to wire it makes for this little tail right here, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I might tape it down like that, just to kind of make it a cleaner look. I really hope this works. Alright, I got everything taped up on both sides, so they're all ready to go. Like I said, I taped that little tail down, same with this side. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of this connector grease and boot grease on there just for a better connection. I really hope that this works though. I'm a pretty firm believer on testing things before you put them together, but because I don't have any helping hands today, I kind of just put it together. But I'm 99% sure that it's all good to go. So anyway, I'll go ahead and put some of this grease on, put everything back together, and fire it up and see how it runs. Alright, so I got it all back together, put that grease on and everything, got everything out of the way here. They're kind of sticking up, but I mean, it looks a little funky, but that's alright. Anyway, let's go ahead and start it up and see how it sounds. Wow, that actually sounds a lot better. Like, I'm not even kidding, that sounds so much better. I'm not even kidding. All right, so hold on a second. I'm gonna go ahead and take this car for a test drive real quick, because I said earlier that it was significantly losing power, and I just want to see if it's still doing that. It really is running better though. Honestly, it's just a much smoother sound. Honestly, go ahead and back up. Honestly, when it was running rough, it sounded really good. It sounded like it had unequal headers. It sounded a lot like a Subaru. So it had a pretty bad A sound, but it was definitely, it just wasn't supposed to be making that sound. And I'm pretty anal when it comes to that stuff. I do not like my cars making weird sounds. They always have to be running perfectly. So I can even feel it just right now, the way that, oh yeah, the way that that clutch is responding. I'll get it out to the highway and then I'll really see how it feels torque-wise. But that clutch, that was kind of another thing, is I was actually starting to stall the car out a few times, which is a little embarrassing. Because this car is really torquey, and it's kind of one of those cars where as soon as you let off the clutch, I could go from a dead stop, let all the way off the clutch, and the car would actually probably just end up pulling itself. But since, like I said, it would go from power to no power, all of a sudden I'd be at, a stoplight, and I would go to take off, and next thing I know, the car's boom, because I'm letting off the clutch too fast, and the car, started freaking out over that stuff. But even just backing up like I did, I could already feel a difference, and I'm really hoping it stays like that. I'm glad I got all the wiring right too, because numbnuts me didn't really pay attention. The wires were, all three of them were different sizes though, so that's kind of what I went off. Yeah, this car is pulling so much better. Sound, it's a lot quieter too, a lot quieter, which is good. I'm sure the neighbors really hate hearing this car. I love the sound of it. Absolutely love the sound of that car. That was actually another selling point to me for this car, was the fact that it had an exhaust. It was kind of one of those like, someone's been tampering with it. The car's been tampered with. It's not all stock. But at the same time, I was like, sweet, it already sounds good. So, anyway, let me get out to the highway and then, alright, I'll turn the lights on in a second. We'll see if this camera even stays up here for 2 seconds. Probably won't, but now I'm on the highway. We'll see how the car pulls. The car is, let me turn on these lights. The car is pulling so much better. There's none of this toying with the throttle. There's no toying with the clutch trying to get it to move. I even noticed earlier before that the oil pressure was fluctuating. Not a ton, but it would fluctuate. I know that these older cars tend to do that a little more. I know my 4Runner will, and there's nothing wrong with it. It just does it for whatever reason. But now the car is, it's not doing it at all anymore. Like I said, it would just fluctuate a little bit, but it was still kind of one of those like, why? And it would, when it would decrease in power, that's when the oil pressure would drop. So it's not doing that anymore, which is super, super good. That's great, actually. Now we'll drop it a little bit. Yeah, I dropped a little bit, but I'm slowing down. It's always dropped a hair when I slow down, but it's not doing it as much as it was. No, it rides super good though. I'm really glad that worked out. Worked out exactly how I wanted it to. The car runs great now. Now all I have to do is get it to paint or whatever, and when I say paint, I mean my garage and spray paint. I need to get it ready for these upcoming shows. Because I'm super excited. Super excited. This is the first time I've ever had, I guess you could consider, an irregular import. And I am too excited for all the coffee meets and everything like that. So now that it's running great, we just need to get it looking great, and hopefully she'll have some eyes on her. I'm not even gonna lie, this car has eyes on it all the time. Anywhere I stop, and it's two different colors. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, you have 300ZX. Yep. So when it's all matching, it's probably going to be left and right people asking me about it all the time. And being a car guy, that is such a good feeling, such a great feeling. So